the nose or nostrils are that there is soot in the airways, meaning soot in her nostrils, soot on her tongue. But the muscular tissue of the tongue itself was not injured. That's important in some cases. If you suspect somebody might have had a seizure, for example, and bitten their tongue, that's why that's mentioned in the report.
And how would you categorize the size of her tongue?
It is edematous or swollen.
Actually, Your Honor, I have no further questions from Dr. Barnhart. I would ask that she be finally released.
All right, Dr. Barnhart, you're fine. Excuse me, thank you. We call you next witness.
Tyler Mills.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give involving this case is the truth and the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
Would you state your name for me?
Tyler Mills,
Mr. Mills, where are you currently employed?
Panola County Sheriff's Department.
In what capacity are you with the Sheriff's Department today?
I'm an investigator.
And on December the 6th of 2014, were you also employed by the Panola County Sheriff's Department?
Yes, sir.
In what capacity?
I was a narcotics agent.
And are you familiar with the area of Cortland, Mississippi?
Yes, sir, I am.
Is that actually your home?
Yes, sir.
And do you know people in Cortland, Mississippi?
Yes, sir.
Were you aware on December 6, 2014 of the murder of Jessica Chambers?
Yes, sir.
2 days later, on December the 8th of 2014, did somebody contact you from Cortland?
Yes, sir.
And what were you contacted about?
Some keys
Where were the keys located?
on Main Street in Cortland.
And did you proceed to Main Street in Cortland regarding some keys?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to determine, first of all, when you arrived, who was there?
I arrived at a house at 124 Main Street in Cortland. Jerry Lee King, Mary Tyner, and their young daughter was at the house.
What do you mean, young daughter?
I'm saying a year. She was inside of a baby stroller.
And had someone picked up a set of keys there on Main Street?
Yes, sir.
Who was that individual?
Jerry Lee King.
Did they show you the set of keys?
Yes, sir.
Was there an identifying insignia on those keys pertinent to the Jessica Chambers case?
Yes, sir.
What was that insignia?
It was like a Benz Auto and Diesel keychain tag on the keys.
Who has been?
Ben Chambers is Jessica Chambers' father.
And did the keys appear to be that of a male or female variety?
Female.
Did you in fact collect the keys from 124 Main Street?
Yes, sir.
Did you actually place them in a paper bag or tagged evidence bag?
Yes, sir.
May I approach?
You may.
Tyler, I'm going to show you a bag. Can you describe and identify this item?
This is one of the evidence bags that we use at the Sheriff's Department. It has the case number, who collected it, badge number, time, and the description and where it was located at.
Can you look inside that bag and tell me what's inside that bag?
It's a set of keys with a green Benz Auto and Diesel repair key tag and a pink, like a Germex hand sanitizer type bottle attached to it.
And were those the keys that you collected from 124 Main Street on this day?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would offer this item as an exhibit to this witness' testimony, properly authenticated. It's been previously identified.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, we object based upon the chain of custody.
Based on what, sir?
Based upon the chain of custody of that item. And the previous objection that we pointed out when we objected to them being identified as an exhibit or for identification, Your Honor.
All right, Objection noted, it'll be overruled, they'll be marked and admitted.
Those keys have already been identified by Lisa Chambers. During your investigation, were you able to determine where those keys were located?
Yes, sir.
And did you go to that? Where was that area? Where was that area in regards to Jerry King's home?
About 2 houses down.
And did you go to that area and take photographs where the keys were located?
Yes, sir.
Mills, I'm going to show you a spread of 5 photographs. Can you describe and identify these photographs?
Yes, sir.
Actually, can you identify these photographs?
Yes, sir. Those are the photographs that I took on December 8th, 2014.
Is this where the keys, where you determined the keys were located?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would offer this board with 5 photographs as if this witness testimony.
Same objection, Your Honor. Additionally, we would object to the foundation of those photographs.
All right. This is going to be part of the jury's field trip, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. I'll allow it. It can be marked as an exhibit. Just for the record, the keys that were introduced, they were previously marked for ID as Exhibit 2. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. They've now been received into evidence. All right, so these photos are going to be a new exhibit number. What's 25? All right. Maybe marked and admitted.
Your Honor, let's get this set now.
Yes.
Investigator Mills, who found these keys?
Jerry Lee King?
And did he point you to exactly where he found them?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do with the keys in order to photograph the scene?
Placed them in the approximate location where he told me they were at.
So Mr. King showed you where he found them.
Yes, sir.
You placed them there and you took photographs.
Yes, sir.
Now, this road right here, just so we don't confuse the jury, they're going to see this. They're going to see Main Street in Cortland, okay?
Yes, sir.
And show them where Main Street is.
This
on
is
map.
this is Main Street.
And each of these photographs depict the same thing, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are they from differing views? I say different angles.
They're different distances. Yes, sir.
Okay. Going from closest at bottom right to farthest at top left.
Yes, sir.
And is this all the same area that the jury is going to be able to see today or tomorrow when they go on the field trip?
Yes, sir.
See. What side of Main Street were those keys located?
I'm gonna say it's the west side.
I'm sorry, what side of the road? North or south?
It's gonna be north. Yes, north side.
And describe the area that the keys were located in.
It's like a small ditch on the side of the road that's in the front yard of the house.
Okay, there's a structure there.
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the area where Jessica Chambers was set on fire?
Yes, I know what area you're talking about.
And where were the keys located in connection to that area on Heron Road?
2, maybe 3/10 of a mile away from that area,
Back toward what?
back towards Cortland.
And from Heron Road proceeding into the middle of Cortland, is that the route you would take?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, attend to the witness.
All right, Cross?
Yes, Your Honor.
Approach the witness, Your Honor.
You may.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mills.
Afternoon, sir. How are you?
Let me ask you a few questions about this photograph here, if you will.
Okay.
Can you see it from where you are?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury which one of those pictures actually depict where you found the keys.
None of them.
None of them.
No, sir.
Why is that?
I really can't tell you why.
Okay, you didn't actually find the keys, did you?
No, sir.
Okay, where were the keys when you actually viewed them?
At 124 Main Street.
And what's that 124 Main Street?
Jerry Lee King. It was Jerry Lee King and Mary Tyner's house.
Okay, so it was at a house.
Yes, sir.
That house is not depicted in any of those photographs, is it?
No, sir.
Okay. Explain to the jury, well, let me digress. Mr. Mills, you are employed by the Panola County Sheriff's Department.
Yes, sir.
And in what capacity?
I'm an investigator.
And what do you typically investigate?
I investigate the criminal investigations now.
Certainly. When you were being questioned by the district attorney, you indicated that you did something with narcotics. Did I misunderstand you?
No, sir. At that time, I was a narcotics officer for the county.
So back during the time of December 6, 2014, when you were taking these pictures, you were assigned to narcotics.
Yes, sir.
And what were your duties with narcotics?
Just work all narcotics cases within the county.
Is that how you came to know Mr. King?
I knew Mr. King before that.
Okay. How did you know Mr. King?
I knew Mr. King. I started working for the Sheriff's Department in 2006, and Mr. King was a residency of Cortland at that time, and I dealt with him before narcotics.
Okay. You dealt with him before in narcotics?
No, sir. I dealt with him before I started at narcotics.
Okay. You mentioned the name Mary King. Mary Tyner, I believe?
Mary Tyner, yes, sir.
She lived at that address as well, right?
Yes, sir.
In fact, Miss Tyner is the one who actually called you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Miss Tyner was a confidential informant of yours. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
She was someone that you had dealings with when you were investigating narcotics cases.
Yes, sir.
She called you and told you that Mr. King had found a set of keys.
Yes, sir.
Correct? And then you responded to that call.
Yes, sir.
So when you sit here and tell this jury about these keys, you don't actually know where they were found, do you?
No, sir.
You based your information solely on what Mr. King told you.
Yes, sir.
Now, you talked about taking pictures of these photographs, and that's actually Heron Road.
No, sir. That's Main Street.
That's Main Street.
Yes.
That would be headed in the general direction of Heron Road.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when you received the call from Ms. Tyner, you actually were where?
I was at the Sheriff's Department
You're at the Sheriff's Department. And how did Ms. Tyner call you?
on my cell phone.
Okay, so Ms. Tyner actually had your cell phone.
Yes, sir.
She called your cell phone and she indicated what?
They had found a set of keys on the side of the road to Main Street.
Did she tell you how she thought those keys were significant?
She thought they were Jessica Chambers keys because the Benz auto and diesel tag on them.
Okay, so it was actually Ms. Tyner who thought that those keys may belong to Jessica Chambers.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't Mr. King.
Mr. King might have thought of them about them too, but I don't know.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Where were the keys actually located when you arrived at 124?
On the hood of a car, on top of a paper towel.
Okay, so you actually took the key, or when you first laid eyes on these keys, they were on the hood of a car.
Yes, sir.
Whose car?
I don't remember whose car it was.
Okay, was it at 124?
Yes, sir.
Was it a car that Mr. King drove?
He could have drove, I'm not sure.
So you don't even know who the car belongs to,
I don't
right?
even know whose car it was.
Understood. You did not take a picture of the keys as they were when they were actually presented to you.
No,
Is
sir.
that fair?
Yes, sir.
Why not?
I don't know.
Okay. So, Mr. King alleges that he found these keys on the side of the road.
Yes, sir.
And tell the jury what happens after that.
I asked him where he believed he found them at, and he showed me the approximate location of them.
How far, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm
Please
sorry.
continue. I interrupted you.
Approximate location was, and that's where you see the pictures are at.
Okay. How far would that location have been from 124?
I'm going to say probably 45, 50 yards maybe. It's not far at all. It's 2 houses down.
2 houses down. Do you
Yes.
recall what the weather was like that day?
Sunny.
Sunny.
And it's probably cool since it was December.
It was December the 8th, 2014,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
December, cool.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's cool.
Do you recall how you were dressed?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you recall if you had on a coat or not?
No, sir.
Now, you left 124,
Yes, sir.
and you and Mr. King,
Yes, sir.
just the two of you,
Yes, sir.
you traveled from 124 to this location.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. King told you that I found these keys, which he says, or he thought, or who Mary thought belonged to Jessica Chambers at this location.
Yes, sir.
Why did you take those photographs?
Just so I could have an approximate location for the investigators to know where they were at,
Okay. I mean, and what's the purpose of that?
so they know where it's at.
Okay. But you didn't take a picture of where they were at. You took a picture based upon when someone else told you they were at.
Yes, sir.
So why those pictures and not the pictures on the hood?
Because it's easier for me to tell them it's at 124 Main Street than inside of a ditch on the side of the road.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your answer,
All
sir.
right. The 124 Main Street's the actual location. The pictures there are actually at a place that you can go right now and look and see it's right there. It's hazards.
Your concern was to take these pictures to aid investigators.
Yes, sir.
Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Which investigators?
The investigators at the sheriff's department.
Okay. And would it not be helpful to their investigation to also tell them where the keys were when you originally laid eyes on them?
I did.
You did.
Yes, sir.
Did you put that in your report?
I don't know if I did or not.
Okay. Now, Mr. King, did he describe the circumstances under which he found these keys?
He said that he was walking down the street and saw the keys laying on the side right there and picked them up and was walking back to his house, and his daughter ended up playing with him, I believe. And then when he got up to the house is when Mary Tyner told him that what she thought with the keys, who the keys belonged to.
The daughter that was in the stroller at
Yes,
the time?
Yes, sir.
So Mr. King informed you that he found some keys on the side of the road and his daughter was playing with them.
Yes, sir.
How long did she play with them?
I have no idea.
Okay. How long between the time when he alleges to have found those keys and the time am I saying her last name right, Tyner?
Yes, sir.
How long between when the keys were allegedly found and when you were called?
I don't know how long it was between the time they found him till I actually got the phone call.
As you sit here today, you can't tell this jury how long Mr. King actually had those keys in his possession, can you?
No, sir.
Okay? And you can't tell this jury where those keys actually came from, can you?
No, sir.
The only thing you can convey to this jury is that Mr. King called, or Ms. Tyner called you, and alleges that Mr. King found those keys on the side of the road. Isn't that true?
Yes, sir.
And he found those keys on the side of the road, but you don't have any knowledge to substantiate that, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Mills, you actually took a statement from Mr. King on that day. Would that be accurate?
Yes, I'm sure I did.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
You take a look at that, Mr. Mills.
Yes, sir.
Do you need a minute to review it?
Yes, sir, if you don't mind.
Certainly.
Okay.
Is that the statement of Jerry King?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what's the date of that statement?
December 8th, 2014.
That would have been the date that you actually went out to 124,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Who wrote that statement?
I did.
You did.
Yes, sir.
So you wrote the statement for Mr. King?
Yes, sir.
Is there any reason why you did that?
Because he wanted me to.
Okay. Can Mr. King write?
I don't think, not very well.
Okay. Can he read?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay, so he had you to write it though,
Yes, sir.
and you indicated in that statement that Mr. King, when he picked up those keys, he used a paper towel?
Yeah, he's got a, yes, he put a paper towel, he put them on a paper towel when he got them out of the stroller.
Okay. Were they on a paper towel when you found them?
Yes, sir.
And that would have been when they were on the back of this car?
On the front of the car, on the
The
hood.
front of the car?
Yes, sir.
The hood of the car, I apologize. But Mr. King signed that statement,
Yes, sir.
but you actually wrote it.
Yes, sir.
And is there anything in that statement that would indicate that you wrote it?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
It says I give Agent Tyler Mills my permission to write this statement for me.
Okay. But now, that statement is based upon what you derived from your conversation with Mr. King,
That statement is based on what Jerry Lee King told me.
just like the location of these keys,
Yes.
right? May I retrieve this, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
That's what you know. Mr. Mills, you actually completed another report yourself in this case. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Mills. Do you recall that report?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall the date of that report?
What day I wrote it?
Yes, sir.
No, sir, I don't.
Okay. Would it have been on the 8th as the report that you wrote out for Jerry King?
No, sir.
Okay. And you have no idea when you did that one?
No, sir, I really don't.
But now, that report is actually entitled Death Investigation.
Okay.
Okay. What was the purpose of this supplemental report, if you recall?
The supplement report, it's just my report. It's just that I just did it on a supplement report, letterhead.
Certainly. Were you instructed to complete that report by someone?
Yes, sir. They asked me to write a statement. Yes, sir.
Who was they?
Major Barry Thompson in the district attorney's office.
Okay. So you wrote that report at the instruction of Mr. Thompson in the DA's office?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you, you're familiar with the the area where Ms. Chambers and where this incident took place?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you in that area at any point on December 6, 2014?
On Main Street or Heron Road area?
On either?
Actually, I was on Main Street. I was at my parents' house when all this started.
Okay. And what time was that?
I got to my parents' house sometime after 8 o'clock.
After 8 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you, and your parents live on?
My parents live in Cortland.
On Herring Road or
No,
Main Street?
Off of Main Street on the side road.
Okay. And did you have an occasion to speak with Mr. King or with Mary on December 6, 2014?
I don't recall if I did or not.
Okay. I'll turn to the witness, Your Honor.
All right.
All right.
You ready?
Yes.
Mr. Mills, Investigator Mills, Mr. Peterson just asked you about a statement that was given by Jerry King.
Yes, sir.
And he read you parts of that, asked you about parts of those statement, correct?
Yes, sir.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Is this the statement he just showed you he was referring to?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would ask that this statement be marked and received as an exhibit to this witness's testimony.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, be marked and admitted.
Investigator Mills,
Yes, sir.
starting with first sentence, would you read that statement for the jury, who previously marked and received?
First sentence is, I give Agent Tyler Mills my permission to write this statement for me, and it is initial JK for Jerry King.
All right. I want you to read the rest of it, but slow down.
Okay. It says on 12/8/2014, I was walking my daughter down Main Street in Cortland, Mississippi. I saw a pink rope with a set of keys on it. I picked up the keys by the pink rope and saw a keychain that said Ben's Auto and Diesel Repair on it. I placed the keys in the bottom of the stroller and came back to the house. I had Mary Tyner call Agent Tyler Mills to come down to the house and get the keys. I grabbed a paper towel and picked the keys up out of the stroller and placed them on the hood of a car. The keys stayed there until Agent Mills came down and took them.
How was he walking his daughter?
And he was pushing her in a stroller.
And he saw those keys, saw the tag, and had who call you?
Mary Tyner?
And Mary Tyner called you because she had your cell phone number, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And he even went as far as to do what with the keys while they were there?
Placed them on the hood of a car in a paper towel.
And were they in that paper towel when you arrived?
Yes, sir.
Was he waiting for you as he said when you arrived?
Yes, sir.
Did Jerry King have to call you to come get those keys?
No, sir.
Your Honor, no further questions. I would ask that Investigator Mills be finally released.
All right, officer, you're finally released. You may return to the courtroom, return to duty, your choice, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. May I call your next witness?
Your Honor, may we approach?
You may.
Who did you have with you at the repass at Michael McMurray's house?
I had 2 of my grandkids.
How old were they at the time?
One was 5, and the other maybe about 1.5 years old.
And when you got to the repass, was it daylight or was it dark?
Daylight,
And this is in December.
right.
After it got dark, at some point, did you go back to your home?
Yes.
Why did you go back to your home?
It started to get a little cooler, and so the kids didn't have any coats. I left to go get their coats.
Okay. How would you leave Carlisle Road going to your home?
I would have to pass Gurley's store and take that right.
And what is that on? That's a main
on
road,
Highway
right?
51.
Okay.
And then I would have to take the next right on Main Street.
And that's Main Street, Cortland?
Right.
Okay. Is your house before or after the firehouse that we're going to see in Cortland? Do you have to go past the firehouse or was it before the firehouse?
You have to pass the firehouse.
And you're going up to 74 Main Street. Did you, in fact, turn in your driveway?
I did.
Which way do you have to turn to go in your driveway there?
We have to turn to the left.
While you were going to your home to get coats, did you see any emergency lights or emergency vehicles?
No.
When you turned left into your home, tell me what you did next.
We get out. I took the kids out, and we went inside, and I got the coats. We left, and we went back to Michael's house.
All right, to go back to Michael's house, you have to go back past the firehouse again.
Right.
Now tell me, where were the kids located in the vehicle?
They both was in the front seat.
And you were driving,
Right.
and what was in the seat right behind you?
Car seat.
And what was in the seat right behind the kids?
Nothing.
As you left your house and approached the firehouse, did you see anything?
I saw a person walking.
Okay. Let me back up. When you went to your house first, did you see anybody on the roadway?
No.
When you left your house and headed back to Michael McMurray's home, what did you see?
I saw a person walking.
And as you approached that person, how did they respond?
When I approached that person,
Sorry, did the person try to flag you down at all?
I think so.
You think so? Was the person by himself, by him or herself, or with somebody else?
The person was by himself.
It was a man?
It was a male.
And did you in fact stop at that person?
I did.
Why did you stop?
Because I thought it maybe was somebody related to me. Randre, I normally stop for Randre on that road. Randre said that's a cousin of mine.
So you had stopped for Randre before on that road.
I have.
Did this person approach your vehicle?
Yes.
What window did he approach your vehicle?
On the driver's side.
And what did you immediately notice when he approached your vehicle?
I didn't know him.
He wasn't who?
He wasn't Randre.
How was he different than Randre?
How was he different?
Excuse me, I'm not trying to confuse you. I'll move on. As you approach this person, you made contact with this individual.
Yes.
And you just told this jury you didn't know him.
Right.
And did that individual say anything to you?
Well, he wanted to know which direction I was going. I told him I was going to Michael's house. I can't remember if he said he knew Michael or not, but he did ask me, could I drop him off on 51? And I asked him where he was trying to go. And he told me he was going to check, he heard his aunt's house had caught a fire. I said, who is your aunt? He said, Julie Chambers.
He said Julia Chambers was his aunt.
Yes, and Julie, I know Julie from doing my hair years ago.
He knew Julia's house had caught on fire.
Well, he said he heard her house had caught on fire.
And based on your knowledge of Julia, were you okay giving him a ride?
I was.
And did you allow him in your vehicle?
I did.
Now, The area where you picked this individual up, did you show that exact spot to the best of your knowledge to ATF investigator Scott Meadows and United States Attorney's Intelligence Analyst Paul Rowlett?
Yes, I did.
And did they ask you some questions about this individual?
Yes.
And can you tell the jury the benefit of how old you suspected this individual to be?
Early 20, maybe 19.
And was it a African American or a Caucasian male?
Yes, African American.
What type of build? Would you call him small, medium, or large?
Between small and medium.
And what about his hair? What about his head?
I couldn't see his hair. I mean, I think his head was covered.
And what type of shirt did he have on?
I don't remember.
Okay. Was he wearing a big coat?
No.
What type of voice did he have?
I can't describe his voice either, but I know it wasn't a deep voice.
And you didn't know this person, correct?
No.
At the time, the only thing you knew that he was Julia Chambers' nephew.
Right.
Did you, in fact, give him a ride up the hill?
Yes.
And where did you drop this individual off?
On Highway 51, across the street, not too far from Julia's house.
Right there at the entrance of Old Highway 51 and New Highway 51?
Right.
Did you point out that exact drop-off spot to investigators?
Yes.
Now, let me ask you a question. If he would have asked you to take him to Julia Chambers' driveway, would you have taken him to Julia Chambers' driveway?
I probably would have.
You liked her, right?
Right.
Once this individual got out of your car, well, let me ask, on the ride up, was there any conversation?
I don't remember a conversation.
Was it quiet?
I guess. I mean, I really can't remember that far back, but he wasn't talking.
Okay. While you were headed back to Michael McMurray's house, and when you dropped this individual off, did you see any more emergency lights or sirens?
No.
Once you dropped the individual off at Old 51 and New 51, did you see which way he went?
No, I did not. I didn't pay any attention.
And did you go back to Michael McMurray's, the repass?
Yes.
And did you stay there for the majority of the night?
Yes.
Soon after that, did you tell anybody in your family that you had picked up a man on that night?
I spoke with my mother and my sister about it, but I can't really tell you how many days it were after that. It wasn't this time. Well, we found out about it. It was like a couple days later after the repair.
You found out about what?
About the burning of Jessica.
And after you found out, did one of them encourage you to come forward to law enforcement?
My sister did.
And you did not come forward to law enforcement, did you?
No.
And why didn't you come forward to law enforcement?
I couldn't remember the person, and it felt like it was irrelevant.
When law enforcement finally received your name in the middle part of this year, were you truthful with them when they came to talk to you?
Yes.
When you drove down to your house, you never saw any emergency lights.
No, I don't remember seeing any.
Do you know approximately what time that was when you went down to your home?
I would say about between 6 or 7. I'm not absolutely sure, between about 6. It went later than 7 o'clock.
Was it dark outside?
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this. When you arrived back at the repass, did you tell investigators about how long you stayed at the repass before you went home that night?
Yes.
How long did you tell them you stayed there at the repass?
I was there maybe 3 hours later.
About 3 hours later. And did you also tell investigators you arrived home around 11?
Between 10 and 11, right.
Between 10 and 11. Would you agree with me that 3 hours before 10 and 11 would be 7 to 8?
Right.
Your Honor, I tender the witness.
Cross.
Question on this, Joe.
Good afternoon, Ms. Flowers.
Good afternoon.
We've met before, is that correct?
Yes.
I think we talked about a week ago.
Right.
I want to kind of go back through some of your testimony here a little bit. Now, you met with some individuals from the district attorney's office, correct?
Right.
Do you recall those individuals?
Yes.
Okay, who were they?
Jay was one. I can't remember the names exactly,
Certainly.
but I do know him.
Tell me, how did you come to meet with them?
Tyrone called me first.
Okay, and who is Tyrone?
Tyrone Smith. He worked with Panola County Sheriff Department. They might know him as Darius Smith.
And what does Tyrone do with the sheriff's department?
He's one of the officers there.
And he's employed by the Panola County Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
How long is he a deputy or?
I'm not sure what's his title.
Okay. Is he one of these people that rides around in vehicles that has Panola County on the side?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how long Mr. Smith has been doing that?
No.
Now, you indicated Jay, I guess that would be the Assistant District Attorney, Mr. Hale, who was just questioning you?
Mm-hmm.
And you met with some other individuals?
Right.
Did you not? Do
I
you
did.
recall who those individuals were?
I don't know the names.
The name. Do you see any of them in the courtroom today?
The one guy, no, he's not in here. He's on the outside.
Do you remember a gentleman by the name of Rowlett? Paul Rowlett?
They did introduce their names to me, but I can't.
The gentleman sitting on the front row there in the light blue shirt, did you meet with
I
him?
remember him.
You did meet with him?
I did.
Did that meeting also take place at the district attorney's office?
Right.
How many times did you meet with him?
A couple times.
And were both meetings at the district attorney's office?
Right.
Okay. You actually mentioned Tyrone Smith.
Right.
Now, how did Mr. Smith orchestrate this meeting?
He called me because they could not contact. They didn't know how to get in contact with me, but Tyrone did.
Okay. And do you know how your name came about?
No, I don't.
Okay. Now, you were at a funeral that day. And when I say that day, I'm talking about December the 6th. This would have been the day that Jessica Chambers was burned.
Right.
You went to a funeral at 2 o'clock that day?
Right.
Antioch Baptist Church, I believe, right?
Right.
And then you left there. You also went to the burial. Was that?
I did.
You did? And you went to the repast, which was next to the church.
Right.
Is that, you recall that?
Right.
Now, your grandchildren were with you this entire time?
They were.
And that funeral was at 2 o'clock.
Right.
Now, your grandchildren, how old are they?
How old are they now?
Well, how old were they then? Thank you.
Between the age of 1.5 and 5.
Okay. Boys or girls?
A boy and a girl.
Okay. Which one is the youngest?
The little girl.
Okay. So the little girl was with you, and the 5-year-old boy was with you.
They were.
Okay. Did you all leave from your home that morning?
Going to, did we leave together?
Yes.
Me and the kid? Yes.
Okay. So your grandchildren were with you this entire day.
Right.
When you left home, what time did you leave home that day?
I don't remember.
Okay. But the funeral was at 2.
Right.
Your grandchildren were with you then.
Right.
Were your grandchildren riding in the front seat of the car at all times?
I can't remember, but no, they probably was in the car seat on the way to the funeral.
Okay, so and that would have been, I'm assuming the youngest.
Right.
The 1.5-year-old.
Right.
She was in the car seat when you left home going to the funeral.
Right.
When you left the funeral going to the burial, was she in the car seat as well?
Probably.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then when you went to the repast, was she still in the seat?
Probably, yes.
What about when you left the repast and went home to get the coats? Was she in the car seat then?
I didn't have very far to go, no. I put her in the front.
Okay, so then you put her in the front seat,
I did.
and your grandson was in the front seat as well.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you went to, still with your grandchildren, you went to your mother's residence so the grandchildren could change.
After the funeral, after the funeral and the burial, that's where we went. We went there. Was not there alone,
Okay. But they changed at your mother's, right?
from my remembrance.
Okay. Then you left your mother's and you went to the residence of Michael McMurray.
Yes.
And this was the second repast for the same funeral?
Yes.
Michael McMurray is your cousin?
He is.
Now, what time did you arrive at Mr. McMurray's?
I really don't know the exact time. I can't remember that far back.
Certainly.
I,
So, when you went to I'm going to just call him Mr. McMurray. When you went there twice, did you not?
what you mean?
Okay, well, when you were meeting with the investigators, Mr. Rowlett and Mr. Meadows, you told them that you went to the residence of Michael McMurray during the daylight hours,
Right.
okay? And then you left to go home to get coats.
Right.
And you just testified that when you left home, you were going to Michael McMurray's house. So I'm assuming you were headed back to the repast. Did
When
I
I left
misunderstand
home
you?
with the coats, yes, I went back to the repast.
You went back to the repast, okay. So, and when you left home the second time, your grandchildren were sitting in the front seat.
Yes.
What time was that?
When I left home,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't even know what time I made it home. Whatever time I made it home, we wasn't in there long.
Let me ask this. Was it daylight outside or was it dark outside?
It was dark. It was getting dark. It was just begun to get dark, I believe. I can't quite remember. All I know was getting cooler that night.
Okay, so when you went home to get the coats and you left home, are you saying that it was starting to get dark or it was already dark?
Honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember.
Do you remember when we were talking, you indicated that when you left home and you saw this individual, it was just starting to get dark?
I remember telling you that.
Okay, so this was December, right?
Right.
And it starts to get dark pretty early in December. Can we agree to that? So it was probably 5-ish.
All right, Jack, he's asked this witness to
I'm just not remembering time.
All right, let's move on, counselors.
Well, Ms. Murray, you indicated on your testimony to Mr. Hale that it was dark outside.
Okay.
But you told me that it was just starting to get dark. I'm trying to clarify that. Which was it?
Honestly, I can tell you that I left the repast and I went home to get the coats. And when I left home, I went back to Micah. I did pick up someone. I mean, the timing, I can't be sure what time it was, what time I went home, what time I left. I cannot, but I can be sure that I did pick up someone and I dropped them off on 51.
Okay. But you don't know whether it was light or dark outside.
I do remember it was getting dark. It was I believe it was dark, counter dark.
It was counter dark when you picked this individual up. Okay.
I'm just not remembering that night.
Now, when you were testifying to Mr. Hale, you indicated that you didn't see any emergency lights when you were headed home.
No, I did.
Okay. Did you look for any?
No, I did.
Okay. Could it be that you don't remember seeing any?
It could be so, but if I seen an emergency light, I think I can remember that.
Okay. So if you saw an emergency light, you would have remembered that.
I believe I would have.
Okay. And likewise, when you left home and you picked up this individual and you went back up toward 51, you didn't see any emergency lights then either, did you?
No, I did.
Okay. Now, when you picked up these coats, how long were you at home?
I wasn't there long. I wasn't even there 10 minutes.
You weren't there 10 minutes. Did your grandchildren go into the house with you?
I took them inside.
So
I
you
never
went-
leave them in the car.
Sorry.
I took them inside with me.
Got the coats, immediately came back out to the car, got in your car, and left, headed back to Mr. McMurray's home again.
Right.
And then as you were heading back, that's when you noticed this individual
Right.
walking.
That's right.
And you thought the individual was flagging you down.
I thought so.
What
Maybe.
made you think this individual was trying to flag you down? Did they do something?
He might have raised his hand up. I can't remember, but I know he probably was trying to stop me, and the reason I stopped.
Okay. And you talked about a Retrial, am I pronouncing that correctly?
His name is Randre.
Randre. You thought it was Randre.
I thought it could have been him.
You thought it could have been him.
Right.
And who was Randre to you?
My cousin.
Okay. And you thought you were picking up Randre.
I stopped for Randre. I
But-
didn't think I was picking up Randre. I did stop because I thought the person could have been Randre.
Okay. But the person wasn't Randre, was
No, he wasn't.
it? And you didn't recognize the person, did you?
No.
Now, the person came to your window. Is that correct?
Yes.
And they asked you where you were going.
Right. Yes, they didn't ask me where I was going. He asked me which way were I going.
Okay.
I told him I was going to Michael McMurray's house, my cousin repair.
Okay. Why did you say Michael McMurray's house if you didn't know
Because
this individual?
if he knew Michael, I brought Michael's name up. Maybe he knew Michael. Maybe that would have gave him a direction in which way I was going.
Okay. But now you were headed back toward 51.
Right.
How many directions can you go on that road?
You can go two directions on 51.
Because it actually splits up before it goes down by 51, doesn't it? Well, when you're leaving your home and you're on Main Street, 7